All right, everyone where they want to be?
Yeah.
Skibbity bop, 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 bop.
Fucking fly.
You got flies in England.
This is like happened naturally. This is the cold open. Fucking
Yeah.
sly, but
He's gonna have an odd. What was the episode of Breaking Bad where he goes insane trying to kill that fly in the?
Yeah.
People
just have
hate
James
that one, but that's a good
bopping
one.
around. No, it's a bottle.
it's-
It's a classic bottle episode, right?
Yeah.
I do
Awesome.
like that one. We've had me and Nat didn't leave the office on Monday until about 8, I don't think. And just before I got back, Matt, she said a car pulled up with no lights on, dumped something in the skip, and then drove off. And we went and had a look, and there was a suitcase in there. Yeah, so that was what we
Anything
were thinking. Then, we didn't look because I didn't want to get fingerprints on it. And then this morning we got in, and somebody had burnt out the skip.
How many times a week does this skip get set on fire? Honestly. Hey, should we start this show that we're doing?
Yeah, let's do the intro then. Come on. Intro.
All right. Yeah, because we'll just start talking. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, children of the internet. Welcome back. Children of the internet. Welcome back to another
like
episode
a new horror movie. That's a good horror movie title. Children of the
Children
Internet.
of the
Children
Internet.
of the Corn, but for now.
Oh my goodness, they're just in their phones like this. Ooh, spooky. Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Vice Press Open Channel, where we get together to talk about things we've seen, things we've done, and things we've made. Oh, you like that? Look at that.
I do like that.
With me this evening / morning, I've got the big old James Henshaw.
Hello.
And the mighty Matt Ferguson, the world's strongest Avenger. Audio listeners, he loves you most. And today we're here to talk about what are we mostly going to talk about? We're going to talk about a film called The Creator.
The Creator,
because we've all seen it. But I think we'll just start off with what you've been doing, your general chit chat segment. What you been doing, James?
What I've been doing. Me and Matt, we've had a busy week. Celluloid Screams is kicking off here in Sheffield. And I
heard about this.
So it's a horror festival that they run every year at the Showroom Cinema in Sheffield City Centre, old 1930s cinema building. And we've got an exhibition up. So we've got a selection. It's called The Horror Show, The Art of Vice Press. And there's an exhibition.
It's a horror show.
It's a horror show. Yeah, I do like. I mean,
it bloody is
pun. Yeah. So that's up. That's we've put that up in the cinema. So that we hung that on Monday night. We've got around 40 pieces. No, a few pieces. Lots of pieces. 20 pieces from across
10
all
of 100.
100, lots. There's lots of pieces. So there's a mixture of pieces that we've released over the years, not just new stuff, there's old stuff as well. So that anybody heading to the Celluloid Screams Festival can go and have a nosy at that and see some of our prints in person. So that was fun to hang. I think we only nearly killed ourselves once, maybe, trying to hang them up.
Better than usual.
Managed to bang my head on the corner of something, which was painful. And then we're at the festival. There's the festival weekend, which runs the 20th to the 22nd of October, where they're going to be screening films. They're going to be screening classic horror films. They're going to be screening new independent horror films. Adam Buxton is there doing a Bug Video Nasty, so I'm really looking forward to that. We've got a couple of tickets to go and watch Adam Buxton there. So it should be a good laugh, and we'll be there with a little stall over the festival weekend as well. And we're hoping we're going to have prototypes of something new that we've got coming up soon.
Something physical.
Something physical. And it not a poster.
Highly physical.
It's nicely
Let's
in
get
keeping
physical.
with the
Olivia
theme.
Newton-John style. Okay, well, that's a fun tease for a thing that we're all very excited about that actually will hopefully come to fruition, unlike most things.
Yeah, one of our stupid ideas that we managed to actually make a reality.
Matthew,
We'll see.
been doing anything? Staying out of things?
Well, I've done that stuff with James there, the exhibition stuff.
Did you have to go and do that too? Because that doesn't sound like a Matt Ferguson would show up to hang prints.
I went and helped. Yeah.
Wow, that's a big.
Well, James is good there because he's like, I didn't bring a spirit level, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Just eyeball
do
it.
Yeah.
So between us, we sort of meet in the middle, and it looks good.
Yes, I have
So
seen
that's
this.
how it works when we do these things.
Yes, I've seen this in practice. Setting up for Thought Bubble last year and pulling things in and out of the office to get into the van, and it's one of them's literally piffing boxes from a meter away, and the other one's going in afterwards and just doing a little Tetris. I'll let you guess who's who.
I'm like this. Oh, right. So that's and then I've been working on some stuff that I can't talk about. So just throw off.
Fantastic. Well, that's always the best stuff you can't talk about because that means it's real.
It's
cool.
pretty good. Pretty good.
How about you, Florey? What have you been working on?
Right.
What have you been up
Nothing.
to?
Nah, just
we
Megan's.
did the beer can. You did the beer can.
We did a beer can for Northern Monk. We got into I think they call it the Patrons Project or something. Is that what they do? Is that what they call it?
They're like limited edition cans, aren't they?
So it's a Vice Press can that's done by Matthew Ferguson and this guy right here. And yeah, we boshed it together and had a bit of fun with it, and it should be cool.
Yeah, so it launches at Thought Bubble, and we are going to get a crate. Northern Monk have promised us a crate for us too.
Okay, sweet.
Let's get
what we will do.
Let's take him to Batman and get ripped.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, because Jocks did quite well when they released theirs at Thought Bubble.
Rhubarb! That's what we're going to be like in the cinema, and everyone's just going to be like, "Shut the fuck up! I'm trying to watch the movie."
Want to get nuts?
I think Jock was selling his out the back of his car, out of his that he got.
Perfect.
So what we'll do is we'll just behind our booth at Thought Bubble, we'll just have a nice little speakeasy going on, where we'll be slinging some cans.
We should take a mini fridge. Put that on the list for the van.
We have a mini fridge. We took a mini fridge to Open House.
Sick.
Yeah,
our very own convention.
It is. It is even PAT tested, so it is legally allowed to be used.
What the hell's that mean? PAT tested.
You've got to have an electrician test stuff here so that you can use it, and they put a sticker on it to say,
honestly, like,
this is fine.
You hear about like, oh, they love a bit of safety and bureaucracy over in England, but honestly, calm the fuck down. Okay, like,
they really just a bunch of twats, man.
And this year at Thought Bubble, I have to wear a goddamn high vis. Like, I might not actually help you guys set up because it's been my mission in life to never wear high vis, and now
it doesn't go on with me. I just go on, and then they go, "Where's your high vis?" And I go, "I ain't got it." Even if I have got it, I might. The way I look at
it is, does it have any detrimental or negative impact on you?
Yes.
And yes,
it does, because it's fucking some bellend. It's some bellend telling me what to do, and I don't appreciate being.
But then, if it makes somebody else's life easier, then it's like, and it has no real impact. I'm like, okay.
No, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Everyone knows it's nonsense.
It is actual nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Anyway.
I am not disagreeing with you that it's nonsense, but if it makes the fine folks at Thought Bubble's life easier because they have to follow their rules and they get into trouble if their people don't do it, then I'm like, okay, cool. It's frustrating, it's annoying, but we'll do it.
It's fine.
This is how fascism starts. This is where it starts. High vis. Right?
Remember, we're going to need the bloody V for Vendetta masks. Bring those along with the high-vis vests.
Anarchy is the key. Yeah,
anarchy. Right.
It all started, this is where it started. World War III, high-vis vests.
It started with AI. Oh my goodness, what a segue.
Well, we've just watched a movie with AI in it, haven't we?
We have.
So I think what we should do, we should talk about Le Creator. We should do base level. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Keep it spoiler free for 5 minutes, and then we'll just absolutely rip into it.
Cool. That's a good plan.
Who wants to go first?
I could go first because
You've got a bit more to say about it.
I've seen it twice. I've got a little bit more to say about it, but I'll say this: the second viewing was a lot better than the first viewing. It just slotted in even more, and it gets a massive 2 thumbs up from me. I think it's my favourite movie of the year. It's not. I don't think it's the best movie of the year. That would probably be Barbie, but it's my favourite movie of the year, and there's a distinction there. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Future cult classic, along the lines of Blade Runner, Chappie, District 9, Ex Machina, obviously. It's kind of there's little things about it that bring it down a little bit, but I think it's nearly reaching your Blade Runner level, especially visually. Visually, it's the most amazing thing, and that's what I'll say there. And then one of you can say something.
The Fly's back.
Oh, is that what? I thought you were putting your hand up to go.
No,
James is having a Breaking Bad.
He's just
James is having a Breaking Bad
fly.
moment. Yeah, so I'll go. I saw it last night because I was forced to. I want to see this stupid. No, I was really looking forward to it. Very good film, I think. I would say it's, and I'm not. I said this when I came out of it and messaged Matt that I think it's one of the most fully realized worlds that I've ever seen, like in a film ever. It's perfectly realized. It feels real. They're not mostly not hitting you over the head with like the rules of the place and how it works. You're just in it and you're just going through it and picking it up as you go along, which is the best way to do it. And I love world building. That's probably my favorite thing in films. I don't really need a lot of plot and dialogue if I feel like I'm somewhere that I've never been before, and that's what this feels like. Really well done. Just perfect use of CGI and design all the way through it. You honestly do forget that, like, this thing's got a fucking bucket for a head, and you're like, oh, that guy's great. I like that. I love that guy. You forget it's not a real being, and it throws up interesting questions about all that stuff that we're on the verge of AI at the moment being used for real stupid shit like monkey pictures and stuff like that. But this posits, like, what if they used it, not sparingly, put it that way.
Yeah.
I really got into it. I thought it was a great thing. And I think it's a very interesting look at what could actually happen. And just really well put together. I think it's a bit muddy. I don't really think it all works. I think there's someone maybe could have done another pass on the script, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. In the end, it's just a really cool thing. It's just really
so
good.
well directed. It's so tight. Like, what did you think, James?
Similar to you guys, I think in terms of the film, when you look at it as a whole, the ideas, the realization of the world, how it was directed, it was so imaginative, and there were so many ideas in there. And I think it was like a collage of some of the best moments or the best aspects of a lot of different sci-fi films, but actually put together in a way that was cohesive, and it puts together where everything actually makes sense, rather than someone going, oh, that's lifted from Aliens, or oh, that's lifted from Blade Runner. It kind of, he's clearly somebody that's a huge fan of cinema and knows a lot about it, but actually managed to pull a lot of ideas and elements, but make it all together and make it make sense, make it cohesive.
That's like a criticism of it, isn't it? That I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's just a mismatch of other sci-fi stories, other genre films put in together, and it's nothing original.
But what isn't?
Knobheads, what was Star Wars if not that?
Yeah.
And everyone loves Star Wars and thinks it's... But Star Wars was Flash Gordon, a bit of Dune, a bit of Foundation, a bit of Asimov, a bit of this, a bit of that. And then it becomes its own thing, and this is like that, I think. It's kind of... And the interesting thing for me is that it's not like clearly delineated. It's not like bad guys, good guys. It's not like all the robots are bad and all the humans are good. It's like a mix of both, It's kind of good. Yeah.
The homages, like Star Wars, the homages are its strengths. They've kind of taken what's come before and built something on top of it. Like Florey said, Matt, like we've had this conversation before, I do think it would have really benefited from somebody that's kind of got a aptitude for dialogue to take a pass at the story,
Yeah.
pass at the dialogue. And that's really my only criticism, because it's just some of the dialogue's hammy, some of it's a little bit forced. It's not really expository dialogue, it just doesn't feel natural. So I think a little pass at that, and it'd have been a perfect film. But all the good stuff far outweighs any of the kind of any of the negative stuff, because you're just in it. It's beautifully shot. If you look at there's like the opening scene that's kind of reminded me of stuff that was in 0.30, and like how it's edited.
Oh, that's
the editing.
incredible! The blue laser thing is nuts when it comes down.
Well, let's just say for people that spoilers from here out, yeah.
Yeah, let's start with spoilers.
Yeah.
I was watching a little making of behind the scenes on that, because when I watched it, I was like, how the hell did they do that blue laser at night? And it looks so realistic. That's kind of like day for night shooting. So then they make it look nighttime, apart from the laser lighting up stuff, because it's that bit when they're running up the beach, and then the laser comes on and they're all of a sudden silhouetted by it. It's nuts. Just looks real, but it's because it's kind of like reverse engineered. It's just very smart filmmaking, like to be forward thinking like that.
What an amazing decision to have this ominous. I've never. I mean, I know it's anime stuff and all this sort of shit that I think it's come from, but this massive target that just tells you things are about to hit the fan, and the sound design of it all, and just like so every time that thing came down and started going do, because it kind of changes shape as it's like mapping just an incredible, because and once you see it once, you obviously know what's going to happen. So when it keeps happening throughout the film, every time I was just like, all the butthole tightens.
Well,
and you're like, oh, what's going to happen here?
When they're going to go to the base and they're on the boat and there's all the radio chatter, and then the fucking bomb comes down and the radio just cuts, and it's like, oh.
I'd say the sound design was like noticeably excellent as well.
Yeah,
like the voice modulation on some of the robot guys, the way that you could tell some were slightly older models because they had a bit more of that AI cadence, like in their voice,
like
whereas some of them just sounded.
The face people are kind of like the newest models, aren't they?
Yeah,
and
but even
the ones without a face are a bit.
Yeah, but there was even different versions of them, because there was our mate that had Ken Watanabe plays one of the higher models with a real face, and then he has his best mate kind of has like these flappy bits that move around.
But that's the same guy as the Indian. It's the same actor. The Indian cop that gets killed, and then there's two of him. It's the same actor.
That's cool. I was
like, his voice is the same, and then I saw on his Twitter that he was like, I'm that robot as well.
That's right.
But it's more modulated, like.
And that's how you make it for 80 million. You just like have one guy that plays four characters or whatever, But I just love the way that there was just such small details like that. Like there's these robots that are bombs as well later in the film that have their voice, but it's like you wouldn't expect it as a bomb, but it's so perfect because they've obviously got some sort of level of intelligence in them. It just gives you so much, all the little sounds and little voices, and I just thought it was awesome. Just the graphic design in it, like all the little labels and screens and like everything.
The title cards, because it's like split into three parts, and it's like the creator, the mother, and these title cards that come up. They're just so pared back, but just so perfect. And then the little graphics at the bottom.
The iconography of just like being like he said it's set in Asia, which again is super interesting because just because Americans want a thing doesn't mean the rest of the world's going to go, yeah, sure, bud. That's absolutely not going to happen. I thought that was super interesting. It felt we've had Asian influence sci-fi before because there's that Blade Runner bent,
obviously,
and stuff like that, and as we know, we will all be under China one day. Like that's most likely going to happen. But to have it be actually set like not in the UK or the US, like have it set in what we would see as third world country, but there's also this explosion of technology and amazing cities because of what they have. It just made it feel so different than anything.
Well, I've seen quite a lot of sort of, because obviously you follow stuff online, and like a few of the criticisms are like it's not like very realistic, that it wouldn't be like that, and it's like, well, it's very clearly an alternate reality. They've got like telephones and they've got like CRT TVs and stuff, but it's sort of like that 80s future from Blade Runner extrapolated. Like 2049 was like that as well.
Yeah, it establishes that.
So it's not really like our future.
No. Well, it establishes that up top, doesn't it? With that, like Tomorrow's World, that it's like an alternative timeline, because right at the very beginning,
they started real early,
robots and stuff, and they're all like, "Don't hit your face."
It's like what would have happened if the World's Fair 1950 had have started to kind of happen immediately, almost, isn't it? Like,
it's what is
Gareth
a show that
said,
a show that we've seen a lot is that we've talked about a bit is For All Mankind on Apple, and that's a very similar thing. Like the technology in that, as they move forward through the decades, changes a lot because they're continuing the space race and need to invent new things. And that's what I took from it.
Like in the 90s, don't they? And stuff in that.
And that's what I took from this. They just started way earlier and committed to robotics and AI and 2065, 2070.
80s influence as well. So like Gareth Edwards was saying, like it's like the Walkman aesthetic extrapolated into the future. So it's like Sid Mead style future stuff, which is the coolest future, which is obviously not what we're getting. We're getting Apple future, which is minimalist, monolithic, boring stuff. But that's kind of like a much more sort of clunky, cool. It's like, so they don't need to be like that, the robots, really, do they? Surely, because they could have. I know it's for storytelling.
Could just be a stick.
Like, to have it on show is just such a great design choice.
I did think
it's a bit like RoboCop and stuff. It's awesome.
I did think, has no one gone and just been like, "Hey, all you Sims out there, I've made a little plastic cover, like
exactly,
just put this on so that nobody shoots you in the face,"
But that's the whole thing, is that it's very clear, like they want to be just who they are,
accepted.
And that's kind of like it's very visual storytelling. So obviously, like it's got clunky dialogue and stuff, but I think the visual story, it's like Blade Runner. Blade Runner, people seem to forget, has got terrible dialogue outside of his speech at the end. It's just highly generic sort of noir dialogue. It's not great.
Well, there's just not a lot. There's not a lot of it. There's not a lot of it. No. It's just,
And all the visual storytelling in this is amazing. And then, there's that little girl who was 7 when they filmed it, and she is just unbelievable.
She's incredible.
The best child performance since probably Elliot in E.T. Insane how good she is.
It's just I don't know how they like found this kid, this face. Like, what a face! How she emotes through just her mouth and eyes. It's incredible.
You're just sort of just like, you got to protect that little kid. And like we could talk about the end, because it does a hard cut at the end, which I just love, where she's crying and then she sort of, it turns into a smile, and it's really powerful.
I found some of
really
I agree, like that last shot was incredible. There's like 2 moments for me where I found some of the acting to be, as I was going through it, like I don't really care, but it's because the dialogue's clunky. I think they're having a lot of the actors are having trouble with it, because you can't naturalize something that isn't natural. But there's 2 moments where I was like, oh no, like John David Washington? Is that his full name? So we've got Johnny W and the kid. He has a moment when he finally gets back to Johnny W and the kid. When he finally gets back to his wife, and he's like, because he realizes like, oh, she actually is gone, but I'm also going to have to, but she is here, and the kid is mine, and it all floods into his face, and the cops are showing up behind him, and he's like almost hyperventilating with like emotion and everything. I was like, that's incredible. And then there's that last shot is perfect. The kid's face,
so
the thick shit falling down from the sky.
The score,
the music,
because it's not got much score, and then it just slowly builds up towards that end, and it's just a massive sort of crescendo. It's a bit Independence Day with the ship being crashed. I thought it reminded me of Independence Day for some.
I did think. Did you guys want to move? Maybe not run at it. Like that's still going down. Like run up to it tomorrow. once it's like all hit the ground, like they're just like
it's probably
they're just,
irradiated,
they're like
There's a lot of shit still
like,
to explode in
towards
there,
this fucking
guys.
thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
probably that's why they need the high vis.
It's a big fucking thing. So it falls down like this. How do they know it's not going to go like this way? You know?
all I can say is I think people are weird. They've not got any empathy nowadays. So people think, oh, it's just a robot, who cares? And they literally do think that. Whereas I'm sat there thinking, these are people. But then I care, especially about the kid. Because I've got a kid myself. And I'm like, well, I don't want her to get hurt. And then it's just, yeah, it just really sort of affected me, like, personally. So it worked. I cried quite a lot the second time. The first time, what was really weird was other people that were watching it were laughing at the strangest parts. So you know when they were up on Nomad, and he does the airlock, and the people get sucked out, and then it goes silent as the cops are getting sucked out in space.
I was like, this is
it was
great.
sick, but it got a laugh. People were laughing, and I was like, why are you laughing at that? What the fuck is wrong with you? And then the bit when they go to the base at the beginning, I'm like, that's not funny. And they're trying to get through the door, and they say, oh, it's facial recognition. And that guy just whips out a knife, and he's like, good thing I've got a face here. And then it implies that he cuts that person's face off.
Why didn't he just hold his head up?
I was going to say, hold him up, yeah. But I think
the funny thing is the dog, when the dog takes the bomb back outside the good boy. That's funny.
What I love
was crawling around like.
Well, there's two bits like that because they have the monkey later too. So it's like dogs hate the dogs are on the humans side. They hate the robots, but monkeys are on the opposite. So that's what we learned from this film.
Yeah.
See, people probably wouldn't like that, but I just enjoy that random aspect because there's no rhyme or reason to why the monkey did that. It was just like
he just wanted to play with
the thing and was like, I want to do that. But there's that bit with the targets that are amazing, you know, on the water from the tanks, and the robot runs up and then he sees the family inside the hut, and he's like, oh no, and then he gets blown up. That was really, there's those sort of ground level things that Gareth Edwards is really, really good at sort of putting across, just visually. And then I hate Radiohead, but the bit with Radiohead was amazing. The drops sequence at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't
Radiohead
like
song on.
I don't like Radiohead and didn't know it was them. I was just like, oh, this is pretty rad, whatever this is. So
unbelievably rad, so good.
Yeah, brilliant.
4 stars.
People should watch this movie. I don't get it's. I mean, I don't really take much stock in reviews and all that sort of shit. I mean, I think the film is actually going to end up doing okay. It seems like. I mean, it's people are going to see it. But more people need to go and see it because we need more of this stuff. Like, I love my franchises. I love all this bullshit. I want to see guys flying around that I've seen in 30 films already, right? But if nobody invented that stuff originally, we would have nothing. So we need this stuff to succeed somewhat. I mean, it just... Yeah, and you got to see it real big and real loud. It's really cool.
Yeah, because then I get to make
You'd like it if you went. Yeah, he did that.
Posters like that, which I... You know,
when you stack it up against films like
freedom, and it's just good.
When you stack it up against films like Mission Impossible and Indiana Jones and Fast X, that cost 4 times as much money, if not more, to make than things like The Creator, and the enjoyment level that you get out of some. Like, I'm not saying those films were bad, well, Fast X, but it's kind of like it just. For me, you get more of a sense of, I don't know, it just that you felt like you were accomplishing something, or you felt that it was kind of a little bit more enjoyable because it is something new, and we need films like that. And it kind of took you back to days like in the 80s where you had things like when you had creators like James Cameron, they were getting started and were creating the starter franchise and creating original things like Ridley Scott with Blade Runner. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that we need more original stuff like this, because this just goes to show what can be created, what can be developed if you just give somebody some freedom, a bit of money, that's got the creative skills, that's got the imagination. And then like this then proves that you kind of throw another 10 million that guy's way, and this could have it's not even money that would have fixed this. It's just probably a bit more time would have fixed this. And when I say fixed,
I don't know.
I don't want it to be fixed because I'm like a bit of
oh
a
no,
when I
there's
like
a
something
lot.
like that, I like the warts as well because it makes it feel more
Yeah,
handmade
there's a lot
to
of
me.
films that
So
you
it's
come
sort of
out
got a
of.
personality, you know.
There's a lot of films that you come out of, like Mission Impossible, for example, where you think, that's such a shame that they did that. The creator didn't have that with the negative thing. You didn't go, oh, it's such a shame. It's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, there was a little bit of ropiness in the dialogue. That's fine. But what I'm kind of saying is we need more films like this. We need people to support films like this and go and watch films like this, because everything that people are moaning about on the internet is franchise fatigue and this, that, and the other, and budgets are too high and it's all remakes, it's all sequels. Well, get off your arse and go and watch something. Get off your arse and go and
this is a small portion of people, isn't it? And I think the vast majority of people, probably especially in America, just aren't interested in this because they don't know what it is. It's really quite anti-American as well. So
it's a tale as old as time.
I can see why it's not done well, because people want something familiar. They go to the cinema, the general, not like people that like live and breathe it like us. General people, they just go, I'll go see Spider-Man, because they know what they're going to get.
We forget that most of our favourite films flopped. Like all that stuff shit the bed back in the day. The Thing and nobody liked at the time. Fucking Blade Runner.
Blade Runner flopped, yeah.
It took him 3 times to actually make it really good anyway. So, like, sometimes a bit of time and distance and just I don't care if no one watches it, right? All I care about is that someone in some studio somewhere, they don't take the lesson that, oh, we shouldn't do that again. They take the lesson that, oh, he spent 80 million and he made this. That's what they should be taking away from this. He's made something that could very well, isn't it? Yeah, very well be a classic. And has done perfectly fine. And I think he just needs to make more. We just need him to make more films. Really, do whatever you want. Don't even put a robot in it. I just want to see what you come up with.
Yeah, we need more people. He's like kind of. You want him to be the Wes Anderson of sci-fi, but it doesn't even necessarily have to be sci-fi.
Guillermo del Toro as well.
Yeah, it's like filmmakers like Gareth Edwards, Wes Anderson, Guillermo del Toro, even Quentin Tarantino. To he's given bigger budgets and stuff. But these people all create original movies. They all create that have ideas, cool ideas, and you love them, warts and all. And we just need more of that, because it just makes going to the cinema so much more fun.
What you have now, I think, is kind of like bottom end. So a lot of horror movies, they're like your 15, 20 million. Or like Everything Everywhere All at Once was that sort of price, wasn't it? So low budget for a movie nowadays. And then your 250 millionaires. And there's no in between anymore. So like when we were young, there was films, like Lethal Weapon that would have cost a mid-budget. But it did well, and it spawned a franchise and stuff. And like basically all of John Carpenter's movies,
because they cost fuck all and they made no money, but somehow the money worked. The numbers work. Yeah, it doesn't. You can make anything. You can make anything good for whatever money you have, as long as you know how to use what you have smart, and that's what the best directors do. And I think,
because the creator, the production design, like a good 80% of it is just being there in Thailand with those amazing vistas. And then they just splash a little bit of sci-fi in, and it's like, and it doesn't really get, I don't think, mega budget until the last act with all of the Nomad stuff. It's kind of like probably relatively easy for them to do because it's just head replacement stuff on robots, really, isn't it?
And we know that we can do droid. We can do droids. Like this leads me to.
Faces like de-aging stuff they can't really do, so they spend so much money trying to get there, and it's still uncanny. And or big creatures like your Hulks and stuff, they cost more money because they're sort of flesh, aren't they? Whereas robots, like say metal and stuff, they can do. So it's
like watching Ahsoka, even with the droids. There's quite a lot of droids in that show of different kinds, and they all look like pretty incredible. Like there's this main one who's kind of like David Tennant plays him, I think. He's like a chrome man. He's a Jedi training droid, basically. He like he might be a puppet, to be honest, because it fucking looks incredible. We've really got that down now. So let's just put robots in everything, I say.
Well, robots are cool as well, so, you know.
They are
robots.
cool. More robots. That's my takeaway from the creator. More robots.
More robots.
Well, I like that it's the robots are like the good guys, really, and it's like flipping it on the head, and the bad guys are like who would usually be the good guys, you Marines and so on. It's a little bit murky because like they think they've got a reason for what they're doing because obviously LA got blown up, but then it turns out that was humans' fault anyway.
But what I liked about that was it? Do we know that? Like a robot says that that's the rumor going around kind of thing. I like that they didn't really get into that at all.
But I really
liked. I didn't want to find out that it was the. Which one?
Ken. I really like that bit when he says that about it being a mistake, and then he says, "You know what will happen when the war's over? If we win, to the Americans, nothing. We just want to live in peace." And it's that kind of like that's brilliant because it's like they just want to be left alone.
I'll say this about the dialogue,
and that's like any other because they're the other, aren't they? So that's like any other in history from the mass. Norm.
I'll say this about
they're evil. And it's like they just want to be left alone. Leave them alone. Let them live their life.
Yeah, you could avoid most wars by just like minding your own fucking business as per usual. But that was I forgot what I was going to say. It's gone.
Mind your own fucking business.
Mind your own fucking business. All right. So what? Did we?
There's a lot to talk about with that movie, isn't there?
There is. We could probably just keep going
really
through, and it's
not
not.
A lot of...
Yeah, it's not nitpicking so much, but it's like you just want to talk about every single little part of it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The dialogue, like we've said a few, I think we've all said like maybe it could have been punched up, but I will say that where it mattered, they nailed it. Like the Ken Watanabe speech, there's a few bits with David Washington. There's a few bits with I'd say Gemma Chan does a good, and the kid has some really good. It's not much dialogue, but they really nailed it. So I could see like that maybe those lines got either they were helped on the day by superior actors or they were rewritten over and over to get them just spot on. But I'm glad they concentrated on those areas, you know.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because that cheesy kind of like hoo-ha American Marine dialogue, that was kind of like what was a bit clunky for me. But then you look at like James Cameron movies.
That's how they
always have that in. And for some reason, he can make it work. I don't know how he does it. It's like in Aliens. It's the corniest dialogue.
It's tonal,
He's just got a knack. He's got a real knack for it, hasn't he?
It's the tone of the film that dialogue's in. The thing here is that this is like... there's not a bunch of laughs in this. Like we are not. This is pretty serious stuff. It feels very real. So the only the reason that we're talking about like some subpart dialogue is because it's the only thing that takes you out. Really, the CG is basically perfect. Everything else and blah blah blah. The music's great. All that. That's the only thing that feels slightly off. And because everything else is so good, being slightly off can feel really off.
There's a couple of laughs that I really like. I like when they're in the car with that family and it's like all gone off and people are getting shot. And he's like,
did anyone have fun?
And that little kid's little...
Yeah.
I was the only person in the cinema that like cracked up at that. This is
really, I laughed at that. That was really funny.
Yeah, I thought that was the funniest thing in the movie, probably.
It's the kind of film that if Bill Paxton was around, you'd want him in it, I think. Just going back to
well, that's why all those guys were... Yeah, those guys really made it because they could give such personality to these little shitty roles and these little shitty lines. Like Game Over Man should be groan inducing, like if it was said by anyone else but Bill Paxton, you know?
Yeah. You could just bang him in any film, like the corniest dialogue in Aliens, in True Lies, in Twister. He could just churn that out and you'd just be like, yeah, Bill.
He was great. I quite liked the Viking-looking dude that was
the second in
and
command.
Like he just gets his knee shot off. I was like, pretty cool that guy.
Alison Janney is a good actor, but it's just I don't know. Yeah, she was fine as well. I thought it was better having her than like some big gruff guy in charge. But
Yeah, they just weren't as good as the mains. Like, I think he obviously concentrated on the kid and on Washington, Gemma Chan, and Ken, and they were all. Because it wasn't going to be Ken Watanabe, was it? It was going to be old mate from Doctor Strange. Yeah, Benedict Wong.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll take that.
Out, I think, for scheduling. But I mean, maybe not as much gravitas as Ken. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, you literally can never go wrong with Ken Watanabe. Like, he's
amazing.
Awesome. All right.
So
is that us done for the creator then?
3 thumbs up with saying?
Yeah, well, I did 2, but yeah, let's do 3. It's really good. 4 stars. It might go 5 stars when I watch it on a 3-preet. I go for another one.
I think this is one of those films too that once, I know this is a silly way to, like, it's just because it's our world, but something's really gone off once it gets to like more people have seen it, and we just see everyone drawing pictures of it and making posters of it online, because I think it's really going to be one of those. Everyone's going to want to draw those robots. They're so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to draw them robots.
I've drawn them robots. I've drawn
them.
Yeah,
you're the only one that's drawn them robots for real, right?
Yeah.
This is the poster. Again, I'll bring it up. This little bit here, that's me and my daughter. Some reference in the garden, and then use that as reference and just cut a hole in her head.
And the big face there is actually James's profile. No one really knows because you've only seen him front. He has only seen him front on, but he looks exactly like a 7-year-old child.
He does, with his perfect hair. Thanks for posing for me for reference there, James. It was very,
that's quite right.
Helpful
there you
go.
Didn't have to change anything. All right.
It's better than
Do we have? What are we doing next? Do we have any questions or anything this week?
We
didn't bother with that.
Yeah, no, we've got one. That's quite sad, isn't it?
Do we want to do that, or do we just want to talk absolute shit for another?
No, it's quite a good
minutes?
question. To be
they
fair,
spring us off, don't they? So.
Yeah, so it's from Carly AF. So Carly's worked with us a few times.
Oh, cool.
Brilliant illustrator.
She's been on this show in the early days. Yes, she was on.
What's the question, James?
Go, James. He's been broken.
We broke him.
Head broke.
He's an AI.
So yeah, Carly says, really enjoying the return of Open Channel. Thank you very much. Here's a question. What are your favourite underrated films? Hers is John Carter. She says, I also have to be that annoying animation fan person and say that Paprika by Satoshi Kon is a superior film about going into people's dreams. Oh, that's leapfrogging on what we were saying about Inception last week.
Inception.
I don't know that film, Paprika. I don't know that film.
So what's underrated? You don't do anime, do you?
No, I don't really. I'm not into anime. So what's everyone's favourite underrated films?
Well, what classes as underrated, really?
Yeah, because we would rate them. I mean, generally underrated, I guess.
Yeah, I think John. So her example was John Carter.
Hot Rod.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good one.
It got bad reviews. Hot Rod's mine because Hot Rod is rotten and nobody ever watched it, and it was a big flop. Really? And it's one of the funniest films ever bloody made. Hot Rod. With Thingy-my-Bobby as the main guy, is just
Andy Samberg.
So funny. Andy Samberg is so funny. That is my pick. Hot Rod.
It's a very
that's a hilarious film from coming from an Australian too, because it's that it has the needle drop like big epic moment at the end there, but they use a John Farnham song, and I don't think anyone's going to know who John Farnham is. You do, okay, good.
The voice,
but I thought that was just
it.
that's which is basically the Australian national anthem at this point. That or Daryl Braithwaite's Horses, which you won't know either. But seeing that, like watching this American film by all these dum-dums off SNL and then hearing that song was just, I was like, what is this? Like, have we got a local version? Have they put something else in?
Lovejoy is his stepfather and just like springs on him to fight at any moment, like throwing ninja stars at him and stuff. And
you know what we should do with our crate?
65-year-old man. Oh, man.
With our crate of Northern Monk, we should put on, when I'm over, we should put on Hot Rod and just get absolutely whacked.
So funny.
Yeah.
BoJack Horseman is the jerky boyfriend when she leaves him, and he's like, "No, babe, wait, babe, no, babe, babe, babe,
What? I don't know.
babe."
I gotta what?
She's just
I haven't
left,
seen it
and
for
he's
a
like
long time.
stood there in the street, just going, "Babe, wait, no, babe." And it just goes on for too long. Oh, it's the best. I love it.
Did you watch the other Lonely Island film, the Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping?
No, I felt like that one was like I got it from the trailer or whatever. I'm like, yep, perfect. I don't need any more of this.
Yeah,
sometimes there's those films, especially comedies, where it's like that was just enough.
It's not as good as Hot Rod, but
Well-
it's still very, very funny. It's very funny.
Well, they're good, those
Funny
guys,
guys.
aren't they, in general?
Yeah.
I've
Go on,
Googled
then.
underrated films, and I'm like, I don't know, all these films I would
These
just
are shit.
rate generally. Like it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Here we go. It's got Across the Spider-Verse is apparently underrated. What?
Really?
What?
Yeah.
No, it's
Jesus.
not. It was a massive hit.
The second one, like I don't know. The
Yeah.
internet's
Oh,
fucked.
okay.
Basically, the
Right.
internet's failed me. You know
I
what
think
was? You know
one
what
of my-
I would say was I haven't heard anything about that. We should be hearing about. I watched a couple of those Wes Anderson Roald Dahl shorts that he's done.
Oh
For
yeah,
Netflix.
we need to watch
Oh
those.
yeah.
They're all out. I watched the first, the longer one, which is the one that is, got the most sort of meat to it.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really good. So those
That's
get
where
on
you can
those
see
if
through
you haven't.
cards, because I've read that book. I can remember the book.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just great. Benedict
So-
Cumberbatch and old mate, what's his name? Gandhi. What's his name? Ben
Ben
Kingsley.
Kingsley.
Yeah, so good.
Yep.
Mm.
And they're all done.
Yeah,
they're all
yeah,
done
that's on the watch
like
list.
they're all done in that style. He did it with the what was the one where it was like 4 different sections about the newspaper. The last one, Wes Anderson.
Oh,
film.
the French Dispatch.
Yeah, it's done in that style where there's like literally the cast is like 3 actors and then stagehands. So there's just guys coming in all the
Yeah.
time, like handing them stuff or moving the sets, and you just see all of it. It's really clever. It's really fun
Yeah.
for a Roald Dahl thing as
What
well.
about movies that are like underrated, but they're not? It's not that they're original. It's just that lots of people say they're crap, and they're not actually crap. Like Ghostbusters 2, for example. It's not crap.
Tron Legacy.
Good movie. Tron Legacy, good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's a film.
Star Trek 5: The Final Frontier, which I watched this week.
Is that the
not crap.
camping one?
That's the camping one. It's great, and the rock climbing, and he's got a T-shirt that says "Go climb a rock." And it's actually
Best
really
scene-
good. If it was an episode of the TV show, it would be like one of everybody's favorite ever episodes. But it happens to be a movie, and it's I guess not like big enough or whatever.
And they're
but it's
old
good.
as fuck and everything. So
Oh, they're so
just-
old. It's great. I love it.
Evolution.
Is that the one with David Duchovny and old mate?
Susan
Oh, it's like
Stevens and Julianne
Ghostbusters,
Moore.
but not Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
liking that
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
but
funny.
like,
That
everything.
That lives with
Comes
Idle
alive.
Hands in my mind for some reason. Was that around the same time? Remember Idle Hands with
I
Devon
think Idle
Sawa?
Hands
Offspring.
was a little bit before. Idle Hands was like later 90s, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, it was. I'm just going to
I don't know
consult
why
my
I
big
equate
gold.
the two for some reason.
I remember Idle
No, I
Hands.
mean,
That's
it had
bit of
a-
sort of college.
Probably had them
movie,
both on
isn't it?
DVD or something.
Yeah, I always liked that one. That was like 2000. What? God, it's over 20 years old now. Jesus. Yeah, it was.
Watch
a
Idle
lot of
Hands
the
though if you haven't.
Team behind.
Like just to the kids out there.
Yeah,
Good
I'll have to
movie.
give that a go.
It's a good laugh.
Yeah,
It'd be
Orlando
bang on trend
Jones.
now because it's hella 90s, isn't it? I've noticed like E.T. has kind of
Oh.
faded away. People just don't know or care about E.T. anymore, and it's really sad.
Because you said that
It's
to
a good
me.
movie.
You said that to me. It was probably just before, because when we did Ambulance and I did the ET poster, which was probably like
Yeah.
my first good poster. I was like, yeah, this is good. This is gonna be the thing. And you're like, like, calm yourself down because nobody gives a fuck about ET. And you were
It's
right.
really weird because there's other ones that have lasted. Like people still really like Indiana Jones. I guess they're more timeless. If you think about ones that last, like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, they're kind of like separate from.
But people
reality,
like if you
whereas
watch
E.T. is-
ET, people love ET. My kids loved ET. We watched ET.
Oh yeah, my kid loved it, but I'm just saying in general, I don't. It's like I think Goonies is probably going that way as well. It's only like 40-year-old twats like us that like Goonies now.
It's probably our fault then because we're not showing it to the next gen. It would skip a generation or something. I think that's probably what it is. Gen Z haven't seen any of those films, and they're the ones that are coming of age now. So maybe these will swing back with our kids. Do you know what I mean? Because we're the ones that watched 80s films.
There'll be
just crossing
90s
my
films
fingers.
that come, like we had that nostalgia rage where it was like your Goonies and your Back to the Futures and stuff. So maybe 90s films will come round. So I don't know, your Independence Days and stuff like that aren't as good. Ooh, yeah. Yeesh.
I don't know why that popped into my head of all things.
Gattaca.
Had a huge amount.
Right.
Like, I
remember that one, Virtuosity from the net.
Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny Mnemonic. The weird thing about Existence though was that they put a lot of. I remember having a lot of marketing put into it.
Oh, it's one of those on the back of the comic.
Was it
back of the
Jude
comic
Law
books?
and
It was one of
Mia
those.
Savari? Yes, it was. It was on DC. Had it on a lot of their comics, on the adverts and stuff. Because back in the day,
Spawn's going to come back big time, isn't it? That's like the most 90s
I think
thing.
that movie's
with all the
too
corn
shit.
music and stuff. Not the general thing's going to come back because people be like, oh yeah,
right.
corn and stuff and whatever was else on that soundtrack. Everybody loved that soundtrack.
Well, The Crow. Where's The Crow?
They mixed. It was like mix-up soundtrack, wasn't it? So it was like your new metal, but it also had like electronic stuff, and there was lots of collabs on it. I remember being really excited about
Wait, what are we talking about? Which one are we talking about?
The Spawn soundtrack.
Yeah, you're right. Because it was Korn and the Dust Brothers were the opening track.
Yeah.
And all the songs were fucking terrible, but I listened to it like 1,000 times trying to want to like it. None of them really worked. It probably had like Limp Bizkit and, I don't know, Chemical Brothers or something.
Well, no, they're doing a new movie, so I bet you Spawn's going to come back.
They're never doing that movie. He's never making
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
It's like Blade, mate. It's never coming out.
He says it every week. Todd McFarlane says it every week. He's
been saying it every week for 15 years. So, like,
since
if it's not here yet. Because isn't his thing like, I want it hard R, I want $200 million, and I want to direct it? Like,
that's not the case anymore now.
Some of those things have to
Jason
give.
Blum's got it. Jason Blum's got it now.
At least
it's
two
be
of
low
those
budget
three
horror.
things. I do want. I do want a good. Yeah, maybe all three of those things. I do want a good Spawn film though. He just needs to give it up. He needs to let somebody.
The concept's good. It's a good concept. I've always thought it's a really good concept. So it's never been executed, perhaps as well as it could be. I don't know.
No, they could do. I mean,
it'd be an absolute CGI shitfest. That's the problem. They've already done the perfect adaptation, and that's the cartoon. If they
give it Seth Rogen,
let Seth Rogen.
Let Seth Rogen's crew take it.
Yeah, I mean, let them take everything at this point because they're the only ones
that's
that really.
An interesting thought that's just triggered in my brain about like TV shows, Seth Rogen doing TV shows, and the whole thing with the creator where people say it's not like fleshed out enough or there's not enough going on, and I think it's because people maybe have been trained over the past 4 or 5 years to watch these TV shows where it's 6 hours of a hour and a half story stretched out and there's all this room to breathe, but it's actually bloody boring, most of it. Whereas this is really tightly edited, proper old school film. And I think a lot of people just can't handle that because they're just like, they don't have the attention to be able to watch and catch something that's like in 5 seconds. And then
you got to go on your phone.
The story later on. Yeah, well, exactly. There was a dickhead that sat next to me on his phone after the movie. Almost
pick it up and pivot through the fucking screen if I see that shit.
God,
well, do you know what I mean, though? And I love these kind of TV shows, but also I do think that long-form storytelling is kind of like not my favourite. I much prefer... We were talking about this on another episode, weren't we? The sort of...
I can talk about it again if you want, because... I just finished Ahsoka today, and they've done it again. It doesn't end. There's no ending. That wraps nothing. It's just serialized storytelling. They should stop calling them different names and just let it. They should make it all the time forever. and it just goes through. Yeah, it doesn't wrap anything. Nothing happens.
This creator movie, it just ends and it's done. Like they've said, are you going to make another one because we love the world? And he's like, no, the story's finished.
Took him bloody 6 years to make this one. But make the poor guy make another one. Let him do something else.
Well, like this started, like I guess, with the whole sequel craze. With like, I guess Star Wars was one of the first examples because that movie is actually a one and done movie. The first Star Wars movie. I don't care what anyone says because it is. And then your Matrix. The Matrix is finished. It's done. They win. And then they were like, no, we need more. And then it just becomes like watered down. I
would say more things that have had sequels. Hang on, how do I say this? Most sequels should never have been made, I think.
Unless it's the story. So like Dune, for example, that's the story. They've not finished it. Or Lord of the Rings, that was 3 movies.
Sure.
That was the full story, you know?
Sure, but that's what I'm saying, though. Most sequels didn't need to happen. They happened for monetary reasons instead of artistic reasons.
And I think James was saying, weren't you, James, like the other week about like James Bond, where the old ones were just an adventure and they weren't necessarily all linked together, right?
Yeah, it's like an anthology. They just approached it almost like an anthology.
Yeah, I kind of would like a bit more of that to come back.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. Should we do some recommendations?
Sure.
Okay.
Who's got any?
Who's got? No one's got anything. Everything's rubbish except for the creator.
The creator.
I've got one. So Brassic, it's a TV series available on Sky, I think. So it's Joseph Gilgun, that was, you might know as Cassidy from Preacher. I think they're on series 5 now. It's very funny. It's about like a group of grifters in like a Yorkshire town, kind of just their misadventures. But it's very funny. It's very funny. It's very good. It's worthwhile.
Isn't everyone in Yorkshire a grifter?
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay. Never heard of it. Have no idea what you're talking about.
I will look into it, James, because I've never heard of it either. My recommendation this week will be Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks. That show is...
You can't do that every week. That's not...
Yeah, you recommended that.
Because there's a new episode every week. And this week's episode was really fucking good. Yeah, Ben, if you don't watch it, I'm going to keep on recommending it. So if not enough people watch it, including you, I'm going to recommend it every week, forever, until it gets cancelled or goes crap.
It gets cancelled or goes crap.
Well, it could get cancelled because that's the other thing, is they love to just shotgun stuff, don't they, to death. So.
Have they said what they're doing with the Orville yet, on about that kind of thing? Is there any news on whether they're doing...
I think it's done.
Oh, is it done?
Season 3 was incredible.
Was it though? Because maybe I was just in a mood because I put it on and I watched 2 episodes and I was like, I don't...
No, it was the best.
I wasn't vibing.
I vibed.
But I was so far behind because of the way it came out here as well. So maybe I should try again. I'll try again.
You didn't watch all of the last season?
I watched 2 episodes and I was like, I can't get into this.
Oh, no, you need to watch it all. It ends. It's got a brilliant ending. Yeah.
What? Wait, something with an ending? What?
It's open-ended, so they could carry on, but it ends. Which I really appreciate.
Which is the best kind of ending, really.
Because I think they knew that they weren't going to get renewed because they obviously,
How did that even get made, to be honest? Like, because it was such a gap. Like, there was a huge gap between 2 and 3.
It was when Fox were their own entity, right? So Fox wanted a sci-fi show because Paramount had your Star Treks, Disney have your Star Wars, and Fox wanted a sci-fi show, so that I guess it got greenlit that way.
No, but I mean, season 3, how did that happen? Because that
it was already happening, and then they just got to finish it.
That's good. At least
there was lots of projects that were started and got finished, I think.
Well,
about you,
recommendations.
Florey, any recommendations?
What have I always struggle with this because I'm like, what have I done? I don't even know what I've watched or what I've been doing. What have I been doing, Matthew? I don't know what I've been doing.
You went to see the creator and then you've been drawing pictures.
Yeah. I haven't been watching a lot of stuff. But I don't know.
I'd recommend another podcast. I really like listening to The Weekly Planet at the moment.
Yeah, I think we said that the other week, didn't we? But yeah, that's a good one. And now I can actually listen to this week's because they also are talking about the creator. And I didn't want to...
Guess what? They liked it because they've got you know, some
taste.
sense.
brains in
Yeah.
their heads because
They're
they're
not
Australian,
morons.
mate. Bloody
They
Australians
are
get
Australian.
it.
That's the only downside is that they're just, man, their voices are just so grating. Jesus. Everything's a
Oh, come
question.
on, mate.
Why is everything a question, you bloody arseholes? Everything's a question.
Come on, mate.
It was go up at the end of a sentence.
To be fair, James was doing that before, and I was going to say something about it, but I thought I'd just leave it because it'd probably backfire on me.
You what, mate?
All right, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
said,
recommend.
Jesus.
I would recommend a Star War, but like, I'm just going to have to talk about it. You're just going to have to listen to me talk about it for a minute.
Go on.
This Ahsoka thing, right? I love this show because it's all my people. I said last week I'm a Rebels kid. I don't give a fuck about the Clone Wars. Like, it's fine. I've seen some of it. Whatever. I've seen the main bits. I know what happens. Rebels is really good because it's like the Lower Decks thing. The crew, the characters are what make it, right? And they're all in this, and it was really going well. And it is the last episode's good, but nothing happens. Nothing's resolved. We've got old mate, Ray Stevenson, right? He's been great in it. He's really cool. He's really imposing. He looks awesome. He was always good. And R.I.P., he dropped off this mortal coil, a few months ago or something, which is a bummer.
Mm.
But I know they'd filmed this thing ages ago, and that's fine. But now he's left just standing on a mountaintop with a storyline that got, I don't know, 10% of the way through. And he's just on a mountain now, standing there.
Sure.
So what the fuck are they going to do with that? They'll probably put a helmet on him and keep going. But it's just, just stop doing this. I need you to finish things. Keep it open-ended. There's a way to do this stuff where you resolve most of what you've got going on. And then, leave 10, 15% of it open. There's 500 fucking characters in the thing. There's got to be one of them that you could give look, a UPS man shows up at Ahsoka's door and gives her another map. There we go. That's open-ended enough, isn't it? Who cares?
It's a lost art. It's a lost art, like a narrative. You know who was really good at it? The guy, Stephen Moffat, who did Doctor Who when it was, what's his name? Fez guy.
Matt
Best
Smith.
one. Yeah,
my favourite, yeah.
Because they had series long arcs, but also individual episodes where something happened and there was a narrative and it resolved, and that was great TV to watch. And they don't do that anymore. It's now just one story, and it kind of it's hard.
That's what shows used to be. Like, even if you look at the X-Files or the first 5 seasons of Supernatural, that was very much
TNG
like that.
Obviously was like the master at doing that.
Yeah, because they'd always have they'd sprinkle in a bad guy throughout episodes, and then they'd have the 2-parter where that bad guy was the big bad guy. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I know they're not trying. The problem is that they don't understand that they need to try to do that. They don't need to have a narrative arc because they've been told that they can make infinite shows and seasons over the next 20 years.
Well, it's why they should be movies, isn't it? And that's why they're 100%. Probably going to end up just making movies out of this stuff because it would work better as a movie. Because
the thing too is that once these things become big enough and they become okay, they're going to want to put Ahsoka in the next 6 series of this Mandoverse or whatever, right? Rosario's not going to want to do that forever. So she'd rather come in for a movie once a year with all the characters or whatever. It's going to have to turn into that because already, does Pedro Pascal even want to get in the booth? What's taking so long on this Mandalorian shit? Just put the fucking guy in the silver helmet and make it. What are you doing? I don't even like the Mandalorian. I want to watch the kids in a spaceship.
Last of Us did that.
What's that?
The Last of Us did that, right? It had the overarching story, but then each episode there was, no matter how small, some kind of obstacle or story element for them to get by, and then that makes it good to watch. That was so well written. The Last of Us, brilliant.
I think you just need each episode needs some kind of resolution to something to make it feel fulfilling.
Yeah. Even if it's just we got through past a staircase, something.
We saw a giraffe, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Those CG giraffes are fake. It's like that's
real fucking giraffe.
Real.
Yeah, that was interesting actually about we'll just get back into the creator now because I've thought of it. But there was once from the start, like I'm looking at it and I'm going, this doesn't. I mean, I'm like, this looks really good, but it doesn't look good. Like it broke my brain for a sec because I was like, the shots were obviously laid out and constructed, and I'm sure there's heaps of invisible CGI stuff. But I'm like, I had to keep saying, no, it's because they just went to the fucking beach and whatever was there was there. They didn't create a beach in the volume and make it like every rock is perfectly placed. There wasn't like a cliff. It's not, the water's not crashing around them like perfectly. Yeah. It's not a simulated water thing that the guys on Corridor Digital are going to look at like, or whatever next week. It's just, that's what they had on the day. And that's, once you settle into that, that's what made it feel, it makes it feel so much more
gives
real.
It personality because it's just stuff that's real, and then they just augmented the reality. And it's just got oodles of personality.
Oodles of noodles. Character. Well, will that do us then?
Get lost, everybody. We're done, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. I think this is, what's this, James? Episode 20? I never didn't say it at the start. 24? 23? Something like that.
24, something like that.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's our birthday next week. 25 whole episodes. Oh, my goodness. Matt, you'll have to make a poster, seeing as you're the anniversary poster guy. All right, so we'll need I need about 30 hours on a poster from you, and we'll be good to go. All right, commemorative, very good. All right, he loves that idea. All right, guys, that'll do us for this week. We're off. Boo.